You want answers?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended the Shaolin Temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical rant.
Welcome back, everybody, and we're going to continue on with the story that we broke in Behind the Headlines today of what I'm now calling the Idaho 3, because all political prisoners deserve a very clever and catchy nickname. The Idaho 3 are the Idaho activists who are now being persecuted, and joining us by telephone we have Serra Frank from Moms for Marijuana and Lindsey Rinehart from Compassionate Idaho. Ladies, thanks for joining us on short notice.
Thank you, Raya. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with Lindsey. Lindsey, I briefly told the story of what was going on, but I want to hear it straight from you as to what happened. Just fill us in on how we got to this point where your kids have been taken.
I was out of town, and there was an incident that they said that my child did something that he didn't. It brought the cops to my house. They said that they wanted to do a well child check. I was out, like I said, I was out of town. I was full of mountains. I was actually enjoying them, God forbid. And the babysitter, she didn't know, and she went ahead and let him in. And they walked through my house. They saw some things that they didn't like. They stayed here for about 4.5 hours while they held my children separate from my babysitter. While they raided my house, they took my children into state protective custody. There was a foster parent. I'm trying to work with the state to get my children back. But I haven't been charged yet. I don't know when it will be.
Lindsey,
the piece of paper in my house, I've got 4 pages that are pretty scary looking.
Yeah.
And I'm a freaking patient. The warrant says trafficking. I'm not.
We know, Lindsey. Lindsey, take a breath. Take a breath. Let me talk to Serra for a moment. I don't want you to get too upset, and I know how upset this must make you. Serra, can you give us a little fill-in as well? If I'm understanding correctly, this well child check sounds like a knock and talk. Did they have any sort of warrant in this?
Well, it sounds like this started at an elementary school, and it had to do with the children involved. And the police held the children at the school for 7 hours before bringing them to the house, in which the babysitter let them in. There was no warrant to begin with.
I should interject. The police did not hold my child for 7 hours. The school held my child for 7 hours. And I don't know what exactly the police involvement was as far as actually holding him themselves. I don't have all of the details. My lawyer has told me to not talk to them without him present. Mm-hmm. So it's been hard for me to get all of the details. I'll have a lot more information tomorrow. But for now, I know that they took my child out of the rest of the population of the school, and they did hold him in the office for the entire day. And they did not contact a single emergency contact on the form. I have a voicemail, I think I only have one, and it says that they were contacting me about a behavior issue. But they didn't call my ex-husband, who is legally my son's biological father, who has every right to go to the school and pick him up, and they never called him either. So,
and as every parent knows, in an elementary school, they have what they call resource officers. Mm-hmm. There are armed police officers walking the halls of our elementary schools, making sure that they are there when they are needed. And my assumption is that that's what happened, is that the resource officer got involved. It was the resource officer or someone involved with him who went to the house afterwards.
So we have the police show up. You and your husband and Sarah, you're out of town. You're in, out in the mountains. The cops show up to basically do what they call a well child check. The babysitter's there, and this kind of illustrates something that those of us in the cannabis community need to be very, very diligent about is, training our babysitters and having them understand what we're involved with and what's going on so they can react properly. But, this is nothing that, an average babysitter is going to know how to deal with, is it?
Exactly.
I thought that she knew. I'm sorry. I'm really trying to keep it together here.
Okay.
These are my kids. She's an older gal. She's gone through her own rodeos. I thought she knew the rules. We discussed it briefly, don't let anybody in without a warrant, that kind of crap, the stuff that you talk about, but it wasn't, they scared her. I've been talking to my neighbor. My neighbor watched the cop get right into the babysitter's face. They intimidated her. They did what cops do. Mm-hmm. And I feel responsible because I feel like she has educated her more. No. But at the same time, she's human. I'm not mad at her. Cops can be intimidating. Don't let cops intimidate you. You make them get a warrant. And, when you're under that kind of pressure and you're at somebody else's house and it's somebody else's kids, they threatened her because, cops can lie to you. Mm-hmm. So they told her that if she didn't let them in to do the well check, they would just arrest her, and then they would go and they would arrest the children as well.
Oh my! This is just we can't.
It's all about intimidation, and that's what they use to get into these homes. Whether you know your rights, whether you're invoking your rights, they know how to work past that, and they know how to get into your home. And it's important to know verbatim your 4th and 5th and 6th Amendment rights, to not allow them into your home, to not even talk to them without an attorney present.
Yeah, and this is what happens. And how much of this do you think? Do you think this is just accidental circumstance, or is there political motivation behind this?
I definitely think there's political motivation behind it. Everybody knows who Lindsey is.
Lindsey?
Yeah, there are some awfully strange allegations that I don't want to get into right now due to the case and because it is to protect my child, that I'm not going to discuss them. But really, the allegations that have been made are downright ludicrous. Just outrageous. And as soon as I can talk about them, I will.
Okay.
Well, I can't yet. But they know who I am. They know what I'm trying to do. And every time we move forward with our petition, every time we win over the city council, every time we match an editorial for editorial, every time there's a deadline for a petition, there's an SCR saying they don't want marijuana in Idaho. My child is claiming innocence. He's extremely well educated in cannabis and in medicine. That kid is smart. There's no way. There's just no way. Yeah. And I'm so mad. I don't even have the words for it. I'm so mad.
We feel your anger, and I'm telling you, our chat room here is just lighting up about this. Edging close to police brutality, they say, happens to moms and dads. So many moms and dads. One in Georgia, this is going on. People are really reacting to this, and I hope that everyone can get on. I've made you guys a short link for the WePay fund. It's rad-r.us/Idaho fund, capital I, capital F, rad-r rad-r.us/Idaho Fund, and you can donate to their fund. We're over $500 now. It was $100 when I saw it this morning. So let's keep donating to the fund and help them get the legal support they need. You know, when we're activists, when we go out here and do this activism, we kind of do it, you know, you're jumping off the high board, right? You're diving, you know, working without a net sometimes. And the only net we have is the goodwill and compassion of our fellow activists and our fellow cannabis consumers to help us out. So please give to this and help them out, because we're setting precedent. We're calling them the Idaho 3 here at 420 Radio, and I'm calling on all stoners to boycott Idaho potatoes until we get these kids back. I don't know what else to do. Boycott Idaho potatoes.
You know, it's not just us three. You know, I mean, there's me, my husband's the executive director of Idaho NORML. He was with me. Mm-hmm. And then there's Sarah Caldwell. She's the other half of Compassionate Idaho. Mm-hmm. So it's not just us three. There's so many people I hear from all the time that have had their kids removed in our state because of cannabis and only cannabis, which is exactly what has happened in my house. Mm-hmm.
And it happens in medical states even.
Child for having cannabis, and it's not dangerous. So I'm so mad. Like, I'm being painted as a criminal, and I'm not one.
You are not.
And I need help. We need help big time. Like, I have fled for Idaho for help for 2 years. Ever since I found out that there was a movement in Idaho, I dove in head first. And I need help. I've been asking for help for Compassionate Idaho. Medical marijuana is ready to happen in Idaho. Idaho residents are not going to be okay with this. Idaho residents are not okay with this. And it's a situation where we ask for help with Compassionate Idaho because we need to change the medical marijuana laws, and people know that. And then something like this happens, and they're going to go after the chief petitioner that's trying to change the medical marijuana laws. You know, they drug my children into it, which I don't know. I was trying to do what was right.
And she's doing exactly what is right. And the biggest thing is that children are often removed from homes of medical patients and recreational users because of the misinformation that surrounds cannabis that has been ingrained within these departments. The most tragic thought about these situations is that these children are being thrown into homes of strangers, people they don't know, away from everyone and everything they have ever known, and all because of these outdated laws that claim cannabis is harmful. With CPS and the department, its immediate harm is required to remove a child from a home. And when those authorities take their children, they suppose that it's in the best interest of the children, and it's education that is needed to change that, because the science and toxicology of cannabis has proven to us all that it is not harmful. Right. And it is more detrimental to these children to disrupt their lives by ripping them from the only family they know and forcing them to live amongst strangers, and then go through court hearings and only visitations with your parents that you can't even go home with at the end. Yeah. I mean, what really is in the best interest of these children?
Let's keep talking about
not
that.
Being removed from marijuana use.
I agree. Let's keep talking about that. Sarah and Lindsey, please stay on the line if you can. We got a break here at the top of the hour. We'll come back. Toker Talk Radio, Hour 2. Call in if you've got questions or just want to give thanks and support. We'll be right back. Hey, until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at RadicalRuss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth.
Now it's It's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhale frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great. Just not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
All right, welcome back, everybody. If you just joined us, we are on the phone right now live with one of my favorite activists, Lindsey Rinehart from Compassionate Idaho. She is a multiple sclerosis patient who is more bravely than me, I'll add, fighting to change the laws in Idaho. And also joining us, Serra Frank from Moms for Marijuana International, both calling us from Idaho today. The basics of the story here is that while Lindsey and her husband and friend, all three of whom are leaders in the Idaho marijuana movement, while they were out of town camping, there was an incident in elementary school. Long story, led the cops to the door. The babysitter lets them in. They find stuff. They take kids, not just Lindsey's kids, but also her friends' kids who were being babysat there at the same time. So, Lindsey and Serra, welcome back to the show. Oops, got to unmute you. There we go. Welcome back to the show. I didn't have you off mute. So let's go back to where we left off. Serra, you were telling us about how harmful this is to the kids when, there's nothing harmful about what they had been exposed to. What we're treating them to is much more harmful than what they were exposed to. And let's talk about that a little bit in your work with Moms for Marijuana. Do you have any stats or estimates as to how often this is happening in America?
I don't have any specific statistics to go with, but from the inquiries that we get, it happens all the time, all over the place, including in medical marijuana states, from medical marijuana patients.
What's the rationale there when you're in a medical marijuana state? What do the cops or CPS say to justify taking a kid then?
They say that it is harmful to the child.
Lindsey?
They said that I was creating a dangerous environment to my child, even though it wasn't even around them. And basically now, if we want to talk damage, well, my children are with foster parents that I don't know. The foster parent, I just got done talking with CPS, has been given $100 voucher to take care of my children for I don't know how long. So when I'm done with this, I have to pack up bags for my children to go stay with a foster parent until they can be placed with families who I am kind of low on. So my choices are my ex-husband who lives down the street, and I need a babysitter. He works overnight, so I need a babysitter that can pass a CP background to watch my children, even though he's down the street from me. They won't let me go babysit my own children in his house. Or my mom happens to work for CPS, just not here. And she happens to work for them 200 miles away. And, of course, she will pass their background check and their qualifications just fine. And she does have all the letters after her name, so she can help them through all the grief. And so I can get them back and get them in counseling to know what all PTSD they're probably going to have. But that's what happened. That's the dangerous situation. The dangerous situation is that my children are with strangers. The dangerous situation is that they're going to be placed outside of their home with their toys and their dogs and their parents. And I don't have my children. I can't even hear their voices. They won't even... I do an hour of education tomorrow. And I'm going to record the whole thing so I have their voices. I mean, this is sick. This is sickening. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
What they're doing is dangerous. And on top of that, they're going to make me participate in programs for substance abuse, even though I'm a patient. So that goes to their whole, oh, there's more people who now are checking in for substance abuse problems for cannabis, and look, we're curing them. No, that's bullshit. I have multiple sclerosis. I'm not a substance abuse problem. Not that I believe that you could have one from cannabis anyway, but I don't belong in substance abuse programs. I'm going to have to complete them, which means I'm going to have to go off of my medication to follow their hoops and jump through their rules. So I'm also going to document it on our website, face pictures every day so everybody can watch my eyebrows start to drop down back to where it was, and so everybody can see the corner of my mouth start to droop the way it was. Maybe I'll post some pictures of me falling down some fucking stairs while I'm at it. I mean, that's my freaking medication. So now, for however long they make me jump through hoops, I'm going to make sure that everybody gets to see me get sicker and sicker without my medication, so they can see that it was helping me.
You shouldn't have to do that. Nobody listening to this, it gets so frustrating to me sometimes. I come in and do this show every day, and that there's people out there who still think that smoking pot and the whole issue of smoking pot is kind of frivolous, and it's kind of, it's a slap on the wrist, and it's a youthful indiscretion, and they have no idea the devastation that is wreaked upon families and individuals in this country over a plant. Just because they said so, not because it's dangerous, not because there's any studies showing there's going to be problems or anything like that, just because they said so. Let me go back to Serra for a moment on this. And by the way, as we're speaking with Serra Frank, this is not Sarah Caldwell, who was the other woman involved whose kids got taken. Two Sarahs here that we're talking to. But talking to Serra Frank here, they're saying they take the kids from Lindsey, being in Lindsey's home, and it's a dangerous environment. But what about Sarah's kids? They were just there being babysat.
The assumption of the department is usually that if you allow your children to be in a residence where drug activity takes place, then you have committed the same act of putting your child in harm's way. It's your responsibility to make sure that where your children are is not going to have those types of things happening at them. Mm-hmm. And that's where they're standing with her. They want UAs from her. They want her to jump through all the same hoops just because she had her children being babysat at this home.
Now, I don't recall, is Sarah...
It makes me feel real freaking great.
Yeah. I don't recall, is Sarah also using cannabis as medicine?
Since we're on the radio, it's probably not best to...
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine.
You want to keep quiet about things until trial can go through, because at this point it's all allegations.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Everything is allegations. Sarah is a huge activist here in Idaho. She's been with me from the very beginning of this, and she's huge in Moms International. She's the director. She has a vote. She's put her heart and soul into this, and so has Lindsey. And to just have them ripped through this is bad enough, but then to put the psychological damages that this is going to cause to those children when they're having people tell them that their parents are bad parents, that their parents are bad because they use marijuana, but they know, they have seen what it does for Lindsey. They've seen how it helps her to be a mom. And so they're going to get confused. They're going to be very, very damaged psychologically, just as with any case that children are taken, like with Daisy Brown down in California. Her children were taken, given back, and then taken again, and then given back, and then taken again. I mean, who are these social workers and judges and prosecutors going to be around when these children need therapy from all of this damage that they have caused based on a lie that marijuana is dangerous?
Yeah. And,
what we want to know.
Our good friend Sharon, Georgia Mom for Marijuana, she's in the chat room, and she points out that this is why moms have not spoken up for so long. We're scared for our children. And this, to me, is a terrorist act. This is to terrorize what is obviously a very successful and prominent activist in Idaho to keep her mouth shut. This is because they know that first of all, the combination of women fighting for the end of prohibition combined with patients fighting for their medicine, you got the perfect spokesperson in Lindsey Rinehart. And you got someone who you can see, like Lindsey, you said, you can see how the medicine has helped you over time. We've got documentation of this, and your kids are going to know that this is medicine, and they're going to know that the cops are lying to them. And what does that do for their trust of authority from that point on?
And my kid is so well educated, especially my 10-year-old. I know that my 10-year-old has spent 3 years in a row educating the dare counselor every time she comes into the classroom.
Yeah.
He did it a couple of weeks ago when she randomly came in, and I kind of was worried about it, but typically they've been pretty understanding. But my child knows. Like, my children, they're not the average child that doesn't have the education behind it. I don't lie to my children. When I met Serra Frank, that was one of the first things I stopped doing. Was I used to pretend that, you got to keep everything a secret and you don't talk to kids about it, and then I woke up. And I started telling my kid the truth. And you know what? He's sitting in foster care, but I tell you what, I know my kid is calling bullshit in his head right now.
There we go. And we want to help you as best we can. I've got the link up on the screen for people just joining us here in hour 2. It's rad-r.us/Idaho Fund, and capitalize both of those words. Idaho Fund is the short link, and that'll take you to their WePay. They're trying to build up funds for the legal representation it's going to take to push these cases. And I'll pull every string that I can find to try to help you on the legal side as well. Our phone lines are open as well at 971-533-7111. If you've got any comments or questions for the ladies, we got Lindsey Rinehart from Compassionate Idaho, whose kids were taken, and Serra Frank from Moms for Marijuana International, who's also helping to tell the story here. Let's get this stat down. What are the ages of the 4 children that we're talking about?
Sarah Caldwell were 11 and 6, and mine are 10 and 5. Okay, so kids that are 10 and 11, 5 and 6. Okay, big brother, little brother, big sister, little sister kind of thing. Okay.
No, right. They're all boys.
All boys.
They've all got their big brother and they've all got their little brother. They're all placed, like the 2 boys are like.
Okay, I think we lost our connection with Lindsey. We'll try to get her back on the line. Sarah, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I'm going to dial Lindsey back here. Let's use this opportunity to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have you both on the line. Take calls. You're listening to Toker Talk Radio on the Russ Belville Show, delivering some really sad news about 3 of my friends from Idaho who are fighting for my home state, my birth state, I should say, and are now being prosecuted by the police. Child Protective Services have taken 4 children aged 11, 10, 6, and 5. And we'll be back in just a moment.
The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney, Omar Figueroa." Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at www.omarfigueroa.com.
Welcome back, everybody. 16 after the hour. Music from Catch a Fire. We are joined by Compassion Idaho's Lindsey Rinehart and Serra Frank from Moms from Marijuana International. And we've got a live caller calling in. So let's see. I think they're all chatting right now. So let me see if I can get to them.
This message now. Press pound.
Oh, no.
Your
We have to
message.
fix that. All right. We'll take care of that message thing that's going on. Something bad happening there. So we'll drop that. But we do have a caller on the line from the, let's see, which area code we got here. 617 area code. You're on the air with Toker Talk Radio.
Hi, it's Amber calling from Boston. I just wanted to quickly say to both Sarah and Lindsey in Idaho, my thoughts are with you, and wow, I really hope that this can be resolved quickly, at least that you can get the kids back soon and, you know, fight them. You know, I know it's going to be a long court battle, but if you could at least just get the kids back home and back with their family, you know, back with you guys, and that would just be the best outcome. So my thoughts are with you here in Massachusetts, and wow, this is just awful.
Well, thanks for calling in, Amber. Appreciate that. And spread the news to everybody you know out there as far as the link and help them get some money. Sarah, do we still have you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, fantastic. What is the timetable in cases like this when, you know, from the time the CPS takes the kids, how long could they be gone?
They could be gone for up to a year or longer. They could even terminate guardianship and give them to somebody else. That's all the courts have for authority. They have that authority to tear apart our families and give them to somebody else, despite what, you know, science has shown. The first thing that happens once a child is taken is there's an emergency shelter care hearing within 72 hours, and that's to determine temporary placement for the duration of the hearings. And then there comes a fact-finding case in which the prosecutors and the CPS and the attorneys and stuff provide the facts that show harm, and, you know, where essentially what they'd do is they'd say, oh, well, we found marijuana around the children, so they're in harm's way. And this is also when Lindsey can present evidence that shows marijuana is not harmful. And again, that all depends on the judge because they get to decide what is admissible and what is not in a courtroom. Mm-hmm. Then there's usually a trial hearing and then a review hearing, and then every 6 months they would do another review hearing. And the children can stay in foster care that entire time. And after it's all over, they can then turn around and charge the parents for those court costs and for the foster care costs for the families, the food and the medical and everything else. They charge them child support.
Wow, this is, it sounds like a racket.
It is.
Yeah,
it definitely is.
Here we are busting up families over pot and then charging them for it.
Right.
Wow. All right, well, let's encourage everyone to get involved at the rad-r.us/Idaho Fund, capital I, capital F, if you want to help out to defray the legal expenses. We got about 30 seconds here. Sarah, I'll let you have the last word.
We also have call to actions going out to the Moms for Marijuana Facebook page right now. It's for donations, but in the future, it's going to be a call to action where we're having you call CPS and we're having you call those prosecutors. So just stay up to date, momsformarijuana.org. Find us on Facebook. We're here to help them.
Check that out, momsformarijuana.org, and we'll post all the links up on our social media as well. We'll be back with Lindsey. I just got a note from her in the chat room. She's in our chat if you'd like to say hi to her. Right now, we got to take a little break. When we come back, we'll get Lindsey back on the line. Stay tuned.
Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
420radio.org is listener-supported cannabis community radio, and while we value every $4.20 donation that comes in monthly from our members, we take this moment to offer an extra special thanks to our most generous donors who have provided over $1,000 worth of support to 420radio.org. For their privacy's sake, we'll identify these knights and dames of the smoky table as Sir Randy of the Lakes, Dame Kathleen the Beneficent, Dame Kaylee the Wise, Sir Travis of Stumptown, Sir Rolla J of Cush, and others who wish to remain anonymous. Thank you, lords and ladies, for your most generous patronage.
Zion is coming. Oh, Zion. Zion is coming. Whoa.
Welcome back, everybody. That's some music from Zion Train with Zion High. And speaking of that Irie music, our friend Brian the Red's in.
Hey, hi, running a little late, but you know me, running.
Running, always running. And tonight, running Red Eyes Reggae Flash Black.
Black.
Flash Black.
Flash blah, blah.
I'm on cold medication, folks. That's real drugs, let me tell you.
Yeah, that stuff will really mess you up, man. I told him to stick to the green caps.
I know. So what do we got for the flashback tonight?
We got, I pulled my brother's record player into my room and I ripped a couple of old 45 12 inches and a couple of other fun things. So we'll have some interesting vinyl. I love the scratchy.
Yeah, all right. Well, check that out tonight, 8 o'clock Pacific time. Coming up next at 5 o'clock Pacific, we've got last night's edition of A Different View with Jen and Iva. They interviewed the author of Marijuana for Arthritis, and unfortunately, his name escapes me at the moment. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But it's an interesting interview, so check that out tonight. Coming up in just about, 37 minutes. All right, back on the phone now. We're going to go to Lindsey Rinehart, who we got back on the line. Lindsey, how are you?
I'm here.
You're here.
Sorry, my phone hung up.
That's okay. Totally understandable. So, I was kind of discussing with Serra.
Let me mute this for a second.
Okay.
Real quick. Sorry, I was listening in while my phone was... Okay, there
we go. I was kind of beginning this topic with Serra about how these cases go and how they affect the families involved. And can you give us any preview of what you're doing now, how you're fighting back?
Well, right now, I saw that the funds just hit 1,000, which is the retainer fee for the first layer. So that's one way of fighting back. I'm going to write a short blog going through... Hello?
You're still there. Go ahead.
Are you there?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, sorry. I'm going to write a short blog just kind of saying what's going on, but we're just going to get all of the awareness out there, and we're going to get the layers, and we're going to fight until we have our kids back, and we're going to keep fighting. So
well, we're going to help you. We're with you, and we're going to back you all the way in every way we can. Go to the Idaho Fund. I've got it up on the screen there. People in the chat room are telling me now it's over $1,000. It was like at $100 today. So thank you so much, listeners, for helping out with this. And the more you can give, the better it'll be. And I will, like I said, I'm after the show going through my contact list to see who I can find that will who's looking for a nice high profile case. You know, Lindsay, I know a few lawyers.
I know you do.
I know a few lawyers who like to be rabble rousers, and I'll bet there's got to be one of them that's gonna want to look to kick Idaho's ass in court. So let's see what we can find for you.
I would really appreciate it, and I need your phone number again, so if you could text it to me, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. We'll definitely take care of that. Now let me, first of all, our phone lines are open at 971-533-7111. If anyone wants to call in and offer their support, if they got any suggestions, anything that can help here. I know the Moms for Marijuana groups are going to be getting involved with this. Serra, can you tell us a little bit about the actions that'll be taken? Are they going to be fundraisers, bake sales? What's going to go on?
Well, the WePay account is a Moms for Marijuana account. We're working to try to at least get a retainer for each of them. Retainers range between $1,000 and $2,000. So we've got a retainer for one, thanks to the wonderful cannabis community. We're just amazed by the support. The next step will happen after we hear from Lindsay and Serra on what's going on with court and who we can call to complain to, because we have a lot of very pissed off moms, and we would like to be heard. So we're going to get some numbers up on our call to action on our Facebook, and we're going to have some people make some phone calls, write some letters, emails. Let's tweet it even. Let's make this the talk of everything going on. Idaho recently put out their statement that they don't support marijuana for any application. We have our global marijuana march coming up in 2 weekends, and we have a giant quilt to lay on the Capitol steps. So I think we're going to try to make a really big statement here from Idaho Moms for Marijuana and how we feel about this situation.
Absolutely. And like I was saying earlier, I think what happens sometimes is, I grew up in Idaho, and I think that a lot of people in Idaho don't realize it's a big deal, right? They might think that, they smoke pot in the garage, or they go out, out in the fields when they're hunting or whatever they're doing, and they smoke a doobie, and they don't think it's any big deal. And then you tell them stories like this, and you say, hey, do you realize, we're taking away people's kids, and we're, breaking up homes, and we're putting people in prisons for years and years and years over this? They start to change their minds. Even the most conservative people that hate pot don't want to see people thrown in prison and families ruined over it, and we're going to make a big stink about this.
Exactly. I just actually had a conversation with a social worker about this, and she works for CPS, and she said that the department feels that it is harmful, but that's not necessarily her opinion. So I think the biggest thing is we need to educate these social workers. We need to educate these teachers. We need to educate these prosecutors, and we need to make them more aware of the need for them to stand up against their own department's policies. That's the only way we're going to get things to change. Yeah,
that absolutely there. I kind of, I don't know what else to say about this other than I just want to just run down there and hug you both.
I would thank you.
You can do that anytime.
Okay. Lindsay, is there anything else you want to say to our audience? We're going to wrap things up here in just a moment.
It's not just us that need help. I need people to remember that. The reason that this all is happening is because we're trying to change medical marijuana laws in Idaho. Our families need help getting our kids back. Our families need help with the legal fees. But Idaho needs help too. So please go to compassionateidaho.org and hit that donate button so I can keep doing what I'm doing so that stuff like this will stop happening. It's compassionateidaho.org.
CompassionateIdaho.org, everyone. Please give as much as you can. If you're a VIP member of 420 Radio, part of your donations also have gone to help this fund and will continue to as more and more money comes in here. We're going to help you out as best we can. Lindsey Rinehart from Compassionate Idaho, give my best to Josh, your husband, and to Sarah Caldwell when you see her next, will you please?
I absolutely will. He's right here, and he gives his best, too.
All right. And Serra Frank, thank you. And, this is part of the battle. This is when it gets really, really tough. And I know that you and all these moms that you've cultivated are very, very strong women. And I know in the end we're going to win this.
We are. We're going to move mountains. Thank you so much, Russ.
You're very welcome. Thank you both, and good luck to you both, and keep in touch. I will get my phone number out to you next, right as we're on this break, Lindsey. I'll stay in our chat room. I'll private message it to you in the chat, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks so much. When we come back, we'll have more to talk about here on Toker Talk Radio. Stick around.
It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.